Today we're going to be putting together a little outdoor eye candy and making some Almond Joy Brownies. So if you're interested in how we're going to go about accomplishing both tasks, stay tuned. This is my hydrangea bush, and in fact I have two. I've tried for years to get them to grow where I had them planted, and it just didn't work. I had beautiful greenery but no blossoms. So hubby decided that he would move them out front and in front of the house, and this is where we get most of our light. And guess what? They have gone crazy. They're taking over everything, and they're blooming beautifully, and I'm just so excited about that. Now, if you look at this picture closely, you're going to notice that they've also lost their mind. And I say that because this is one bush, not two. Notice I have some blue hydrangeas, and I also have some pink hydrangea blossoms, all on one bush. Help me out. I can't figure it out. No one has an answer for it. But on each one of these hydrangea bushes, there's a section that blooms pink and there's a section that blooms blue. So I decided that as these would start to wilt a bit and we cut them, that I had to have something that I was going to use them for. Now last year I decided to just cut them, put them in a vase, let them dry, and use them throughout the fall. That was fine. But this year I decided, I had way too much time on my hands, and I had an available grapevine wreath. So, are you feeling the direction that I'm going? We are going to put together a new wreath. I wanted something pretty to look at. So I went outside to that little hydrangea bush and cut off and trimmed a ton of blossoms. And I've placed those blossoms into a box, and I'm going to use them in a wreath. So I'm going to attach them. I have bows already made, and I have a 14-inch wreath. So it's going to take a little bit to get them to stay. I'm just going to wire them on. But once I've done that, our wreath is going to be beautiful. Let's look at my screen porch door. I've hung the wreath, and you'll notice that I have a variety of colors in the wreath. And that's because those are the variety of colors that were on my bush. The blossoms that are more brown are those that are more spent, and they have dried out much more. You can see those that are freshly blue, those that are in various shades of blue to purple, and you see those pretty little pink blossoms also that were from the hydrangea bush. And I still have more that are on the bush. These were just some that I took off. So, enjoy. I had some leftover greenery picks from Walmart, and I'm just taking and clipping and adding wherever it looks like we may need a little bit of filling. I didn't want a lot of the grapevine to show, and I really did not want the hydrangea leaves to be a part of this because they're pretty large and they can pretty much overpower the wreath. So I'm using the little bit of greenery sprigs and adding those into the wreath so that it will be able to enhance the colors that are in this wreath and just give the wreath a little more dimension. You know, I could probably stand here another 30 minutes or so and fiddle with the wreath, but when I stepped back, looked through the camera, and brought it up close, I thought, that's not necessary, because the wreath is absolutely gorgeous, and those colors are gorgeous. Now, I'm going to tell you something that you need to know. and that is, this is a temporary wreath. It is here for me to enjoy for the next few days, and then all of these blossoms will be dried. I'm going to take them in and put them into a vase and put up some new ones. So, have fun. Reds, yellows, oranges, and golds are the colors of fall. And we're going to be using all of those colors right here in the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme, where we work hard. We love God and family, and we know without a doubt that everything else is just gravy. The big guy wanted some dessert, and the only thing I really had that I could fix quickly was a box recipe. It could have been a box yellow cake, or it could have been some brownies. But for a change, I thought, well, let's go chocolate. I love chocolate. And I tell you what, the candy bar that I really like, but I don't eat very often, is Almond Joy. And the main reason is that most people don't like the coconut, and quite a few people don't like having nuts in their candy bars. So when I purchase them, I purchase one, I take half, and give the big guy half. But you know what? Why not prepare an entire pan of Almond Joy Brownies? If that's what you like, that means you're going to have some coconut, you're going to have some almonds, and then you're going to have some delicious chocolate. So, let's get to it. I always purchase Betty Crocker Delight Supreme Chocolate Chunk Brownie Mix. And that's because it has all the great things I love. It has the chocolatey flavor, it has the nuts already in it, and it just comes out to a delicious consistency. So we're going to prepare that, and we're just going to prepare it the way the box calls for it. We need eggs, we're going to need some oil, we're going to need a oiled pan, a greased pan, and I am just measuring out. I'm following the recipe that's on the box for everything. So here we're going to put the oil in, and I'm trying to read this, and you know, without a little help sometimes those measuring cups can be difficult. So we're just measuring out the amount of oil that we need for the mix. Not a lot. I think it's about a fourth of a cup, and I got a little too much, so I had to put a little bit back. And so we're going to be placing that into our brownie mix. Now this is one of those that you don't have to increase the number of eggs if you want a more cake-like consistency. This is going to come out somewhere in between, being very cakey versus being very, I guess you call it creamy. Now, so we've got the oil in, and we're going to need to add a little more. Let's see, there we go. We've got our liquid. We needed a little bit of water. I need to take care of that egg. And you know, because we're dealing with a floury substance, we're not going to want to do a lot of mixing. So I have just mixed that water and oil up just a little bit. I'm just using my whisk. And I'm going to get some chocolate, because we want not only the coconut, and I'm using sweetened coconut, but we want some Ghirardelli chocolate chips, because they're the best. So we're going to be using those, but we're not going to be using them where you think. We are going to place them on top of the brownie after it's had a chance to cook, and it's going to make the most wonderful topping for that chocolate brownie. I'm going to place the egg into this mixture, and I'm just mixing it up, And as you can see, I kind of had to pull a little bit of eggshell out. You always get a little bit of something when you do it the wrong way. I should have broken that egg off to the side and put it in a bowl, but I didn't. So, lesson learned. All right, it's time to start adding all kinds of goodness. First, we're going to start with the sweetened coconut flakes. And I'm just going to put a really heaping handful of coconut into the mix. And you have to look at the consistency of your brownies because you don't want to have too much, but you do want to have enough for it to be that Almond Joy consistency. So I needed some scissors. I couldn't get it open the way it said to open it, so I'm cutting the top of it off and I'm going to bring it back to you. I have also chopped some almonds that we're going to be adding. So here we're sprinkling in some coconut and we have to mix. Remember, you have to mix and see what that looks like. Looks pretty good. And I think by the time we get the almonds in there, we're going to have the best consistency ever. Now, guys, I'm telling you, once you've made these, they are going to fly off the table. Everyone is going to be mwah, 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 trying to lick their fingers because it's so good. Now, let's get those nuts so that we can get our almonds into this mix and we will be set. I'm over there making sure our oven is on the correct setting. I didn't feel you needed to kind of flip around so many different directions, but I'm placing that oven on 325. These are going to need to cook a little low because of the fact that we do have coconut, nuts, and those kind of things in there. So I'm going to put it somewhere between 325 and 350. Now, if your oven cooks hot, then you may want to definitely put it at 325. But if not, then you may be able to keep it at 350, but you've got to keep an eye on it because we don't want these to burn. They're going to be so good. Now the nuts are in. Look at that consistency. And I'm just kind of getting everything off the whisk. And I'm just resisting trying to put some of that into my mouth because we do have raw eggs, so I'm not going to do that. So there's our pan. We're going to get everything into this pan and we're going to bake it. And it's going to bake probably between 30 to 35 to 40 minutes. You will need to test it with a toothpick. Put it in there at about 30 minutes and let it come out clean. And once it's done that, you know it's ready. I think I checked mine at about 30 minutes and saw that it needed to stay in there at least 5 more minutes. And you'll do it in little 5-minute increments because you don't want them to be dry. And but you do want to make sure that they're done in the center. So we've got everybody in the pool, and we're just going to spread that out, which is going to do very easily. Does that not look delicious? This is one of those desserts that you can take just about anywhere, unless you have someone with nut allergies. And if you have someone with nut allergies, then you won't want to do this. Now this is the Ghirardelli baking package, and I wanted to just let you see that for the sake of knowing that Ghirardelli is the best chocolate chip you can possibly get. Once the brownies finished cooking and I had tested them, everything was done, I took the pan out of the oven and poured this entire package of Ghirardelli semi-sweet chocolate. This is about a 12 ounce package over the top of those brownies. Now they sat there for just a moment and they started to melt just a little bit, but not enough. So I stuck the pan back into the oven for about 3 to 5 minutes. When I brought it out at that point, I took my spatula and smoothed the top of the Ghirardelli chocolate, and they were divine. You can see how pretty it looks. And this is going to be a rich dish, so you're only going to need a little bit. So it can feed quite a crowd. Stay tuned, you're going to see how good it is. Now you know I had to test these out before I allowed the big guy to even have a bite. So let's do that. And while I'm doing that, I'm thinking, I am so glad that you're here to share in this moment, because these brownies are delicious. I hope you have had a wonderful time in the kitchen, and I hope that you will continue to be a part of the Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme family. I have certainly enjoyed your presence.